Good morning. We are up for a bit of picking this morning. We have got courgettes and beans and tromboncinos and peas, all sorts of things to pick. It is a great time of year. So that was yesterday. We popped up to do some bits and pieces. We had quite a big list we wanted to do. Obviously picking beans was one of the things on that list. But yeah, lots of bits and pieces we wanted to plant out, and we had all these grand schemes. We came up, saw that, fixed it and went home. Very frustrating. Oh, huge fisticuffs from the girlies, although they don't have fists, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so I think part of the problem is, and we have discussed this, is, is the bloodfish and bone situation. So bloodfish and bone is the most excellent of fertilizers, but it does attract the animals. And previously I've always used powdered stuff, which I don't actually have any because I thought I had a little bit left over, but I didn't, which is like a granulated, looks more like a sort of a brown salt type affair, which I've mixed in with the soil. And I think the smell from that goes really quite quickly because it's powdered, you know, it washes through much faster than the new stuff that I've bought is pelleted. And I think what's happening is that is taking longer to break down, as you would imagine, but it's actually holding on to the scent. And so the foxes are coming in and smelling bloodfish and bone under the soil and thinking there's goodies. So I've spoken to a couple of people. I spoke to Johanna. She's had to stop using bloodfish and bone, and I put a despairing... They're angry chickens. They're still broody. Margot and Val are still broody, and they've been kicked out to have a bit of rice, and they're angry. What was I saying? Yeah, so Johanna's had to stop using bloodfish and bone because she has a resident fox family living in her garden. They don't cause any problems unless she starts using the bloodfish and bone again, in which case they rip everything up like they've been doing here. So I'm just not going to use it, which is a real shame. So I've got to find some sort of alternative. Obviously we've got the liquid feed, we've got the liquid seaweed, which is brilliant, and comfrey feed and all that kind of stuff. But the benefit of being able to just mix something in with the soil and know that it's then in there and going to kind of last a good, 3 months or something, rather than having to mix up your feed every time. I know that's lazy. But just when you've put the bloodfish and bone in there, you just know that it's got like the goodness for at least one crop season, you know. So I'm thinking about seaweed meal. Anybody used seaweed meal? Obviously I use a lot of seaweed feed, never used the meal, which is like, you know, like this kind of thing, but I'm assuming that foxes aren't attracted to seaweed. Anyway, yes, they're very annoying, but we've come up this morning and actually we've lucked out in the sense that it hasn't been that hot and it did rain overnight. So I think at least the majority of them, or at least the ones that I found, are going to survive. I'll take you up there in a second. But my first task is actually to wipe the blackboard and get an action plan together, because yesterday was a wasted day on sulking. So yes, got things to do today. Haven't I, girlie? Oh, Winnie's just trod on the edge of the rice and tipped it all in the mud. Are you daft? Yes. One of the things we need to do is clear this. I hate it when this starts happening, when you start like building up piles of rubbish everywhere. We've got to do a dump run. Most of this stuff actually isn't for the dump. You know the shelving unit that I bought up a couple of weeks ago that I then used as a potting bench briefly? That's supposed to be going in the netting shed. Oh, I've still got to do a bit more of that. I have done all of that and that and that and that and that. Woo! Pot on, yes! Done all of those things. How blooming satisfying. Well, apart from that one. Yeah, so that shelving unit is supposed to be going in the netting shed, and a lot of this stuff is supposed to be going then on those shelves in the netting shed. So this big box down here is the leftovers from the cover for the new polytunnel, so loads of really good plastic to use there. So I don't want to get rid of it, but at the same time it's just a pest to store. So one of the things on my list, where is my piece of chalk? Here. Is to, so that's sow chimney. I've still got 2 more of those that need sowing, 2 more varieties. But what am I doing here? We are going to clear rubbish for dump. And we'll be able to get a bit of space here. But in terms of stuff that we're doing on the plot, I have got to sow minestra. Woo! There was something else I needed to sow as well, which was, oh yeah, so minestra, kale, endive, cabbage, spring cabbage. Got to get them sown, and I've got to plant out a load of things actually that are over here. There is these chaps over here, is the purple sprouting broccoli. They've got to go in. That bed just needs a bit of manure on it. No bloodfish and bone. We have got the fennel, needs to go out and find a home. I have some frizzy lettuce there. We have got the minutina down here, which has recovered from its slugtastrophe, which is brilliant. I'm really pleased with that. I'm quite excited about getting them going. We've got a bit of chicory. There's the odd few bits and pieces around that have been spares, and I'm just going to bung them in a bed somewhere. Yeah, so we've got all of this to go out, and we're actually starting to run out of a bit of space, to be honest. I've got one bed that's all prepped for these. Maybe I'll put the fennel in there too. Anyway, I will get planting out on the list. Purple sprouting broccoli, minutina, fennel. What else was there? Forgotten already. Oh, chicory. Clearing up is going to be a major one. Oh, and I have to do the first feed in the quad grows. Right. There were some things I wanted to show you as well. What was it? Oh, well, let me take you up to the disaster zone from last night or from yesterday afternoon, and I'll show you what's happening there. I'm optimistic-ish. Yeah, look, I mean, some of them look like they're going to survive, don't they? I think mysteriously we actually lost quite a few pak choi because I've put it all back in the rows and we're actually missing like 2/3 of a row. So I have no idea where they went. The spinach is a bit funny anyway, and it tends to bolt if you disturb it. So I'm expecting that to just bolt immediately if it survives. The chimidirapa, quietly optimistic. I think a lot of them were kind of more buried than dug out, and Mum's put them all back in. So I think that's good. And I mean, what do you think? I think we might be lucky. And no more bloodfish and bone. What else was I going to show you? Something else that was exciting. It's runner beans. Yeah, we actually have some which are at full size. So I shall be doing a runner bean picking before we leave today. And that means that I can do a grand, spectacular demonstration of the runner bean slicer. I know, edge of your seat stuff this, isn't it? Whew. Hold on to your hats, kids. So I'm sure there was other things I wanted to show you too. What might they have been? I was all excited coming up yesterday to show you stuff and then obviously got sidetracked. Yes. It is the fact that there is a ripe tomato. I just asked Mum if she wanted to share it with me, but it turns out she's already nicked one. So this little chap is all mine. It's got an appropriate little deformation. Deformation. I'm going to eat it. Am I excited? Yes, I am. Oh, wow. Okay. Right. Let me just get in position for this. Ready? Oh! Oh, so good. So good. Come on, the rest of you. This is absolutely covered in them. Look at this. Woo, they're all coming. Got loads. Yeah, so that is super exciting. The first tomato has been had. It was wild. See what? Something else I need to sort out in here though is, can you see behind me here is the melon? The melon is doing brilliantly well. That's actually the one that I got off Johanna. So this year I sowed both, two types of melon. I did Sugar Baby, which was a miniature watermelon, and I did Minnesota Midget, which is like a miniature cantaloupe, you know, like a sweet round melon with the crinkly skin. Both of them were taken out by the slugs. So I didn't get any, and Johanna very kindly gave me one of hers that she had. Can't remember what the name of it is, but I will put it up on the screen because I've asked her twice now and she has texted it to me, so I know what it is, but I'll just put it up there. Anyway, this is the melon that we've got, and it's doing brilliantly well, but it is now like there's too much of it, so I need to just add a little bit of netting to the back, so I'm going to do that now while I'm thinking about it. So the melon is a grafted one and it is growing fantastically well. It's in the quad grows, so I don't know if you remember when I planted the quad grows out, I mainly had chilies in them. But I did put one aubergine and one melon in there just to see how they would grow in it. And everything is growing brilliantly. As I said earlier, I haven't actually put any feed in these yet. It's just the water, but the consistency of the water is just, they're loving it. The chilies, aubergine and this melon, they're just all really happy. I'm absolutely thrilled. And look at the number of flowers on this thing. This one's even got a little melon on it. Oh, the excitement, the excitement. Oi. Yes, it is for you, madam, but you're supposed to ask. Hey, you're supposed to ask. Did you want a sausage by any chance? I got a sausage for a little. There, Bubs. There. Sausage. Yeah. Yum scrum. There is actually also a bit of salmon in there if you wanted that. Was that what you were after? Was it? Yeah, salmon.
The new girls, can you see the different shapes?
Yes. And it's 2 days later. So we got stuck right into sorting out that compost area. I'll show you what it looks like. Got over enthusiastic. The phone fell off its stand, as you saw. Then it ran out of battery. Then we decided to get on with a load of stuff which wasn't sort of filming-y type things. It was just things that we needed to do, which included clearing out the netting shed. Because of this one, clear rubbish for the dump. We just knew there was loads of stuff in there that needed to go. So we pulled everything out of there. Then I moved the shelving unit in. Then I got overexcited with this little fireman's station thing that we've been using as shelving in there, which I presently cut up to then move into the shed, which has now improved our shelving system in the shed. But all of this stuff happened, and then we realised, while everything was just piled outside, that it was like rapidly approaching 6 o'clock when we needed to be somewhere, and it was going to rain that night. So we then had a mad dash rush to just pile everything back in a haphazard form. And now we're back, having made a terrible mess, and still none of these things have been ticked off. The only thing that has happened to this list is it's got longer, because I've just been up into the fruit cage as we're walking down, and the grapevine has gone completely loopy and is like attacked the raspberries, so I have to sort that out. While I'm in there, I may as well do the loganberry, because that needs to be chopped back. It's that time of year. Yeah, so all that happened is the list got longer. Nothing has been ticked off. However, we did have a nice little find yesterday. Let me grab it. A dinky pallet. I do love a dinky pallet. Really nice and sturdy. So I will find something to do with that. And actually the guy that we got it off very kindly said he gets them all the time. So he's got my phone number, and hopefully we'll be picking up a number of them in the near future. Right, so the aim of the game today is to actually do something useful. But I am going to start on the fruit cage, because it is a glorious morning, but it's heating up fast, and that is mainly in the shade. So what do I need? I need the secateurs, and I need string. I think that's probably it. Secateurs and string. That'll do me. Yeah, so as you can see, we did actually achieve something. We got this bit quite a lot tidier. We got the new boards on the front. So these were the ones that were the kitchen floor, the temporary kitchen floor. So we chopped them up. They've now got a new life. Sorted all this out. And then now we've got this big pile in front of us here that needs to go to the dump. We've got a booking at the dump tomorrow. So all of that should go. Very exciting. Looks better, doesn't it? It does. Yeah. Good. Right. I mean, all that's left to do really is the hard work, which is moving the stuff from that bin into that bin, but we haven't done that bit yet. Right, fruit cage is where we're headed. Okay, so behind me at the back here is the grapevine that I actually only cut back like a couple of months ago, but it has exploded. And this branch here that is now going right the way across the raspberries is actually gripped onto the raspberries, and what I want to do is actually train that to go up over the door on that side. So I'm going to attack that, and actually, since we're looking in here, I've actually only spotted one little thing where grapes are coming, you know, where the little flowers are, but last year I looked and looked and looked and looked and never saw any, and then suddenly there were grapes everywhere. So I'm still optimistic. This is the one that I can see, so I'm going to be keeping special eye on that one. But yeah, they hide themselves really, really well. Anyway, I am going to try and cut this chap out of the raspberries and get it up over the top of that door. So I'm hoping that the hordes of the rest of the potential grapes are just hidden in amongst this mess. Because last year, like I say, I looked and looked and looked, never saw anything, and then suddenly they all appeared when they started going blush. And the grapes were probably the most delicious grapes I have ever eaten in my life. They're a blush grape, this variety, and I've been going through the archives, the old, well, Instagram archives, looking for when I planted it. Cannot find any mention of when we put this grapevine in, but I only moved the fruit cage up here in spring 2020. And it was the fruit cage was here for quite a while before we put it in. So the earliest date that it could have gone in was spring 2021. So it hasn't actually been here that long. and it's really kind of bulked up and I'm really pleased with it. But hopefully we get some more grapes, because I don't know if you remember last year, they were so exciting. They were so delicious. So I'm hoping for a repeat of that this year. And in the opposite corner, this is the other thing that needs sorting out. So this is the loganberry. The pruning instructions for this are so simple, which is the best kind of pruning instructions. The stems that had the fruit on this year, which is still quite obvious, they've got a few bits of dried fruit on them and stuff, and the foliage looks really tired. All of that comes down to the base, and all of this lovely fresh new growth that it's put on since spring is the stuff we keep. Now, unfortunately, they've all headed off in that direction, and I want them to be going in this direction. So I'm going to cut the old stuff out first, then look at where all these branches are, and then try and guide it back this way, because the grapevine's going to be over 2/3, and I want this wall here to be the main loganberry wall. It's got other ideas, so we'll see whether or not I can actually encourage it or not. But yeah, all of this old growth is what is coming out first. Well, it is still chaotic, but we've managed to get the soft, the mats that go on the seats into the shed, because they were getting ruined in the netting shed. So got some space for them. And actually, the main objective of finishing that off really was to clear the bed where I want to plant out the purple sprouting broccoli. But actually, I was just coming over to tick off 2 things on the list, having pruned or sorted the grapevine out and the loganberry. I hadn't even put it on the list. So I know this is ridiculous, but I want the satisfaction. So Okay, so I do really need to get that purple sprouting broccoli in, but I need to get some of the horse manure onto that bed. And actually the bed itself is really dry. So I'm going to go and set the hose up on that and just give it a really, really good soak. And while that's happening, I'm going to sow some seeds. Right, go and set up the hose. Okay, I say we cleared it. We still have a fishing net or a chicken catching net, depending on your how the mood takes you. And then we've got these things that all need to go back in the netting shed. This is soaked. I might leave these out to dry off actually. This is the old door from the Holly tunnel. Don't even know what's in that pot. Sorry? What was that? Yeah. They do. Nice. Okay, so that is that bed clear and being watered. Let me show you the snaz of the netting shed now. So this is what it looked like before. I just took a very quick video, and now obviously we haven't got the lawnmower back in yet, but that just gets parked in the front. Look at the snaz. Chairs are on the wall. We've got everything on a nice bit of shelf. Oh yeah. And everything is all neat and tidy. And look at this. Floor space. Yeah, so pretty chuffed with that. Objective achieved. Let's go and sow some seeds. Woo. Okie dokie, what am I going to sow these in? Probably little trays. Nice. Right, what were we going to sow? Minestra. This bit needs such a clear up. It is all a bit chaotic in here at the minute, but let's get some soil in these. Same mix as I've been using. It is half our own and half Silver Grow. Okie dokie. What do we got? Oh, what we got is soil in our eyeballs, which is always a good start. Okay, this is my box of things that can still be sown in August. I've just been sorting out the shed. These are just the things that we had up here. I haven't even been through the stuff in the trays at home yet, but we're getting a bit chaotic. So I thought I'd go through and take all the stuff which is over home, which has left us with this. And there's some things that are really high on my must sow today list. And one of them is the Minestra, the absolute star of last year for me. I want to get the Durham spring cabbages in. I want to get a last sowing of Cavallonero in. And there was one other absolute highlight that needed to go in. Where is that? There it is. And that is the also same place that I bought the Minestra from, so when I was on holiday. And it is a chimney wrapper, which is another like turnip top or broccoli rabe. But this one is olive leafed, and it was one of the ones we tried to get going last year and it just got completely eaten off, so we never got to taste it. So that is going in today. And that, if I start with those, there's a load more stuff I want to get in, but I will start with these ones. So let's go minestra. How many of these am I going to do? These were so good last year, but swings and roundabouts, you know, when you've had a really good year for something, it's unlikely that the following year will be great for it. So we just hope. I'm going to do all of these because they were so wonderful. Do I just do that many? No. I'm going to do more than that because I know that George is interested in some, because I gave him some last year, but he didn't get anything from his. So he's keen to have another go. So I'll just do another little row for him. Lovely. Right. Do you know what? Those chickens are being so ridiculous. 2 of them are still broody. So Margot and Val are still broody. We thought Margot had come out of it briefly, but she went straight back in again, which is very frustrating. But they're just angry. They're so angry. And they're obviously feeling like they're missing out. So they keep coming out and then just raging. Right, minestra. And they've taken against the perch that's in their house for some unknown reason. It's only one of them, but we don't know which one it is. Keeps kicking the perch out. So then the others go in and are not happy about the perch not being in there. So it's all war in the girlies' house at the moment. Right, 3 rows of minestra. I am flying. Let's do 2 rows then of the olive leafed chimmer. This has got such a beautiful, like the foliage itself, it just looks so lovely. I was really sad not to try it last year. So fingers crossed we get a go with it this year. I'm feeling fretful. Do you remember last week I was saying that sitting under here, like with the potting bench bit, it's got a bit dangerous because I'm sitting in a toilet? Well, there's loads of squawking above me, so I may be about to be shat on. Sorry, YouTube, for swearing. Okay, so what else I'm going to put in here? I'm going to do 1 row of Durham early spring cabbages. I don't need a huge number of these. I'll just do the 1 row and then I'll do the final 2 rows of this tray Cavolo Nero. I know you may think that I sow an excessive amount of Cavolo Nero, but it is seriously something that we eat all year round, and it'd be really sad if we didn't have any. So I'm just making sure. Currently we've got 12 plants on the go that are all looking good, but we kind of eat them in turns, you know, so it's nice to have a good selection of them growing in different patches across the plot, because then you know we're always going to have some. We don't really grow any other like kales. We used to do the dwarf green kale. Haven't done that for a couple of years now, really. It always just comes second best to the Cavolo Nero. We are doing Red Russian again this year though, because that was delicious last year and kind of replaced the curled green, like curly kale, you know. Everything used to be about curly kale, but we've sort of given up on it now. And I've got to say, I'm not squeamish. I'm really not generally a squeamish person. Like at the moment, having just been in the netting shed moving stuff around, I'm covered in spiders. Like I can feel them moving on me. It doesn't upset me particularly. But what does, something about curly kale, you cannot find the caterpillars in it. And I'm pretty diligent when washing veg. I've got really used to it. You know, like if we do it all the time, we just get good at washing the bugs out of the veg. It's something about the curly kale that I just can't get them out. And there's always something floating in like them after I've cooked them, and I just don't like it. Durham cabbage. Right, so that was the major lot that I wanted to get in today, Cavolo Nero, and that's good, but that leaves me a whole tray of excitement. to do. Where's my soil? We have a whole nother tray. So what is in the box? Some of this stuff is for direct sowing, so I won't be putting it in. So none of my okra came up, not a sausage. Says you can sow it all the way through till the end of July, and we're only in the second week of August, but is it worth it? Not sure. That might have to be relegated to next year, have another go next year. That red Mizuna is for direct, so I'm going to put some Lucullus in. This was the chard that I didn't have any of earlier in the year, so let's get some of these babies in. This is the chard, my favourite. This is the chard that has the very, very pale, like acid green leaves that are very, very soft and floppy. And when you cook them, they really do cook down like a spinach. You know how spinach pretty much goes to nothing? You can have like a bag of it like this, like the same size as your body, and then you put it near any heat and it just vanishes. That's what Lucullus does, and it has a very, very mild flavour, whereas some of the other chards can be really quite earthy because it's basically beetroot stems. They can be quite earthy. Lucullus, not at all. It's got a really mild, soft, gentle flavour, and it gives a really good sort of contrast when you're possibly, dare I say, sick of chard. No, but you know, on the off chance that you fancy something a bit different, that's a really nice one. And it survives really well over winter, so that is excellent. Right, Lucullus. Lucullus. I will also be growing some of this in the polytunnel over winter, but I don't think this will be the sowing for it because they grow quite quick. So I'll probably be sowing this at the beginning of next month, and not this one will be going out, and then I'll put another load in at the beginning of next month to be like the one that's going in the polytunnel, because otherwise it'd be too big, I think. Spinach, that's for direct sow. I do want to put some more lettuces in, but then what, girls? I do want to put some more lettuces in, but I want to put them in these little green trays, so I'll just hold off on those. That's lettuce too. That one, that one, that one. We've got fennel to go in. Oh, I'm going to put some more Bietta in, which is the basic green chard. Mainly because most of these... Will you be quiet? Winnie's laid an egg. That's what that is. Actually, I've just realised I've got this on sound noise cancellation because there's aeroplanes going over. Maybe you can't hear Winnie, but she's losing her mind. There's loads of bits and pieces like lettuces that I want to get in, but I don't find it worth putting sowing lettuces like this. I'll sow them in a tray and then prick them out into this. The seed is too fine to be trying to put one in a dubry. Agretti. So I was going to sow some more agretti, but actually the one that I did sow is looking really quite good. Yeah, bugger it, I'll put some more in. I will put some more in. Right, what's this, Bietta? God, this is a pleasant afternoon. The temperature has come right down. It's like 25 today, which is really nice because it's been up around the 31 mark. So today it just feels fresh and wonderful. I think Johanna was quite interested in getting some agretti off me too, so I'll sow some extras. Very, very poor germination I've had with the agretti, so I'm going to sow multiple in each cell and put my fingers crossed. I tell you what, I was finding that I was having, you know, these are the crappy trays. So I got these from Wilko's, like it's not that bad. Poor old Wilko's. Sad times, chaps, sad times. But they're very, very flimsy on the bottom. And what I was finding was happening was, I'll just demonstrate with the slightly bigger ones. But when you push the plants out, the bottoms crinkle. Can you see how that's really crinkled up? And obviously I was pushing them down before I re-sowed, but some of them I wasn't pushing them down possibly as methodically as I should. And because they've just got one central hole in the bottom, I was watering them, like with the tray underneath, watering them, and some of the cells were just drying out, and I lost a load of Bietta that I'd sown. Just like sporadically, like some of them just died out. I was like, what the hell is going on? And I realised that underneath, where they were dimpled in, wasn't getting any water because the you know, the hole where the water should be going in wasn't at the bottom, wasn't on the capillary matting. So that was a lesson. I'm now much more careful about making sure I've put all of the squares back down. Have I run out of labels? Yes, I have. What am I going to put in that last row, chaps? Chicory. Now this is a stunner of a chicory. Look at that. Beauty. It looks like a rose. I know people are a bit suspicious of chicory because it's very bitter, but I love it. And this one is from Lucy at She Grows Veg. I keep trying to say She Sows Seeds. She sows seeds, but it's not. It's She Grows Veg. So that's cool. Let's get some of these in. I think George was interested in some of these too, so I'll just sow a lot of them. Wonderful. I don't have a label for that, so... Actually, I do have a label for that because Mum got the labels mixed up and she thought she had sown some of that. What's it called? Rose of Venice. But it turned out when they germinated, it was actually garlic kale. So some confusion ensued, but it does mean that I have a pre-written label for it. Woo! There we go. Get some soil on top of them. And I think probably the bed up there is going to be ready for planting out. Wonderful. Yay. So the two things I want to get into this bed are the purple sprouting broccoli and the Florence fennel. Purple sprouting broccoli will have lime in the holes as always, but I'm going to avoid putting any additional fertiliser on, and I'll probably give them a liquid seaweed feed, good old Shropshire. I'm looking at seaweed meal. It's pricey though, it's pricey. That is the Minutina and the Chicory that I haven't sown out, but I don't think they're quite ready to go, so I'm going to leave them for a bit. The only other thing on the list, God, I never thought we were going to get close to this today, is sort quad grow feed out. So this will be their first feed, so I'm going to have to get the instructions out. Okay. Luckily I left the instructions in here. Okay. First thing I need to do is mix these up. Right, so 2.5 litres in each of these. As you can see, I am short of a measuring jug, but luckily I've got a 1.5 and a 500. Okay, so this is the A mix. And this is the B mix. Ah yes, well it turns out that not only do I not have literage measuring jug, I don't have anything left up here which is like enough to measure 60 ml. I got nothing. So I am going to just quit this job. These just need to dissolve anyway, so I'll just leave them overnight. Oh, that's a good look. I look like I've got a hair beret on. So when I whiz up in the morning to, woo, don't lean on that handle, Jessie, it's a tad flims. When I come up in the morning to pick up the rubbish to take to the dump, I will bring my measuring cups from the kitchen, which just leaves me bean picking, courgette picking, bits and pieces picking, and then it's home time. So these yellow beans, I think I may have been a little premature in saying that they weren't prolific, because I was judging them by the cobra beans, which took off so much quicker, but now they're really coming into their own, getting loads of them. If there wasn't a copyright on the music, on YouTube or Instagram or wherever, my theme tune for bean picking would definitely be The Never Ending Story. I don't think you need to see any more of this, do you? Nope. Good morning. Sorry about no microphone. Today's editing day. It's Sunday. I should be sat at home at my desk sorting out the week's footage. Alas. Mum came up to do some watering this morning and she's just called me to say the foxes have just, they've been everywhere. So I'm on my way up to see what the damage is. Okay, so they've been through that bed again. Great. Sorry, because I don't have a microphone, you're gonna have to put up with the sound of the aeroplanes, but look at this one. Look at this, they've just absolutely... So, look at this.
Look at the size of the holes here.
They're digging huge holes. I don't know if you can see the size of that hole. That's a whopper. They've taken plants out over that side. God, you're stuck in the netting, sorry. Plants out there. They've got, this has been squashed underneath that. They've managed to get in and kick up all the Cavolo Nero out of here. Mum's just in the process of replanting them, as you can see. These were out again, were they?
They were all out, yes.
So everything's been kicked out. Oh, well, even the turnips that we thought had survived
That one
have
was
not
pulled out
survived.
totally. These three have still got their roots in, but have been dug around a bit.
Right.
Nothing. Well, that one.
So that end, the two at this end are gone completely. Don't even know where they are. They're just not existent anymore. Turnips are fucked. These are out of the ground again. And did they go down there too?
Yes, down here as well.
Beetroot.
You can see all the beetroot. Two of those I think.
Of the,
came out.
yeah, the mustard greens. These have
And
come
then they
out.
pulled
Fuck's
these
sake.
out,
These
some
are
of
the.
those
This
out.
is the Kailan. That was looking really fantastic. Look, they've got two of those tomatoes. These are the tomatoes that we like the spares. Sorry, I just jogged the camera. The spares. They've turfed that one out of the ground. Can you see?
Here, over here.
Yeah.
Yes.
But look, you can see there though, there's a tunnel going straight underneath there. They're living in that patch, that's the problem. Yep, so 9 beds they've been through this time, including 2 beds that never had any blood, fish and bone on. Not once. Hang on, I'm going to go and sit on the swing seat. The swing seat of despair. Jeez. Don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, so we've got this bloomin' Ron's allotment next to us, right, which is just an absolute mess of bindweed and brambles and just a nightmare, and all of this plastic under here. So this is where all the slugs hide, which is why everything on this half of our allotment just gets completely eaten instantly. But if you look under here, since it's got really overgrown, there's all these like playpens for foxes, you see in there. And look, there's a tunnel that somebody's been walking through under here. You see that, like it's been carved out. So they've been coming along this edge, and they're probably just all living underneath that bramble mass. But yeah, it's just a complete joke. I always get people saying, why don't you just take over next door's allotment? But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, because there's like a 9-year waiting. My hair, sorry. There's a 9-year waiting list for allotments up here, and they've even closed the waiting list. It's so long. But the problem that they've got is getting people off the allotments when they're not working them. So you can't just take over it, because there's a huge waiting list of people who want them. And even now, they're not giving full-size allotments to people. Every time one comes up, they're dividing it so they can get more people onto the allotments. But it means that it takes such a long time to get people off. I mean, Ron hasn't done anything on his allotment for, I'd say, probably 8 years or so, but every time he gets a warning letter, his brother comes up and like strims it so it looks like something's happening. It's just a jungle, and every year it gets a bit worse. So we know, I'm pretty sure, actually, do you know what? I'm going to go and get the stand so I'm not like this with you. Let me just go and get the camera stand. Come on down, you come, that's better, isn't it? Stop wobbling, there we go. Right. Yeah. Mighty, mighty frustrating. I mean, fencing is an option, but the problem is that foxes jump. So what I was going to say then is I'm pretty sure it's foxes. I'm 99.99% sure it's foxes. I've had a look, there are footprints. It's definitely 4 toes that are even. Badger toes have 5, they've got 5 toes, claws, and they're much wider. These are very much fox footprints. Unfortunately, I've broken my trail cam, so I've got an order in for one of those. So hopefully, I mean, I don't want to see them do the destruction, but hopefully we'll get proof of who it actually is. But I'm pretty much convinced it's foxes. Foxes are very difficult to stop in the sense that they jump over things. So if we're going to put a fence around the outside, it has to be wibbly wobbly at the top so that they can't jump onto it, but also really quite high, which is a huge expense. Then there's the option of covering each of the beds with a different system than we've got now. I mean, we do buy things for the allotment, obviously we buy things, but most of the stuff we have is things we've collected. All of the mesh we've got on the allotment, like the you know, the big metal mesh hoops and things, that was all free. All the bricks, everything. Like, this is going to mean actually, you know, spending some money, which I don't have. I am going to go home this evening, or go home after we've like tried to rescue as much as we can here today. I am going to go home and I'm going to do a lot of trawling, and look at some different systems, and maybe we'll see what we think is going to work before I make a major commitment to anything. Oh, chaps, it's so frustrating. This is supposed to be like, obviously I said today's editing day. I'm supposed to be sat at home and then I do my cheers and it's all lovely. Because right now I don't feel very cheersy, to be honest. 12 beds they've been in. I've done a final count. 12 beds they've gone through last night. Right, I'm going to go and help Mum replant some things. And then I'm going to go home and finish editing the video. Tack this bit of jolly onto the end of it. This vlog is basically started and finished with fox destruction. Fox destruction bookends to this vlog, chaps, and me being cross. Oh man, I'm cross. Hi chaps, really quick. This is editing Jessie. It is Monday morning. There's no cheers because obviously like Monday morning, but I just felt like I couldn't leave the video like that. It was too depressing. So this is my tack on the end. We're all over it now. It's fine. We go again next week. We've got some good things coming up next week. There's a couple of visits, some bits and pieces, a bit more exciting stuff. And I'm also going to do a bit of a plot tour. If any of the plants are still in the ground, we'll do a plot tour. I'll see you next week, chaps. Bye! Manado.